Hi, it's Jim here, and today I'll be talking a little bit about inspiration. Each week, Tina and I will each tackle a subject pertinent to the weekly assignments. Some weeks I'll do a brief video like this one, while other weeks I might provide a written narrative, a list, a series of links, something written. I'm reading this off some quick notes I wrote down, so if I keep looking away to the side, I'm really not a kidnap victim reading from a list of demands. So, what inspires me to write? First off, I have to say that a lot of it depends upon my mood. If I've been, say, reading the national news, and I'm angry about politics, or overwhelmed by sadness, or feeling some other strong emotion, I've found that that moves me to write poetry. There's something about poetry that taps into my feelings of joy, sadness, anger, compassion, guilt. It may be completely different for you. When I realize that something's worked me up to the extent that it's changing who I am, I know that poetry is my healthy outlet, and I'll sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and get to work. On the other hand, it's usually people who inspire me to write prose. When I see somebody who I can't quite figure out, I want to sit down and write about that person, trying to figure out what the story is. My wife constantly tells me to stop staring at strangers' carts at the grocery store. But I really want to know what would cause a person to buy Cherry Garcia ice cream, organic tomatoes, a bottle of Pinot Noir, and a National Enquirer. And when I go home, I'll see if it leads to a short story. John Updike once said in an interview that the spark for his short story A&P came when he and his wife were driving through town and they passed a grocery store, and he wondered out loud the question, who works in a store like that? What is his life like? Updike went home, sat down, and wrote the story, trying to answer those questions. Since we're starting out our semester with creative nonfiction, I thought I might take a minute to talk about my travel blog and how I get ideas and inspiration to write. Ironically, at the moment, I haven't written anything for about a month, mainly because most of my travel this summer was to places that I've already been, places I've exhausted my writing ideas about. When I'm inspired and blogging a lot, it's often because I've recently traveled. It's fresh in my head. Especially when I'm traveling alone, I keep a running travelogue in my head, almost as if I'm imagining myself telling somebody else about what I've been seeing and doing, about the chaotic throngs in the morning metro, or the strong and often overwhelming smells in the marketplace. Even when I try to keep that voice in my head going by looking over pictures, and I take about 100 photos a day when I travel, and keep that inner monologue up until I find the voice I want, then it's the time to sit down and start writing. When I fine-tune that voice that I feel is authentic, I'm inspired to write. And when I struggle, I find that I have to spend more time alone, living in my head, starting that inner monologue back up. I've read that young William Faulkner used to like to go to the train station in his hometown and just sit quietly all day, staring at the people moving back and forth, paying attention to the commotion. And I like to imagine that maybe that's what he was doing, the same sort of process, imagining the stories of all the people he saw walking by. I guess in some ways, it's really less for me about inspiration and more about getting into the frame of mind where the ideas and the voice just flows. Whatever it is, the mantra that writers always repeat over and over again is, keep writing, don't stop. Try new things. During this semester, we're going to give you lots of different heuristics, ideas meant to spark inspiration. Just keep trying. Some will work, some won't, but hopefully along the way, you're going to find some things that really end up opening up your inner writer. Thanks a lot. See you on the boards.